Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.
So, you know the way I normally come on and I'm singing or something like that? Well, I thought it would be appropriate to sing a Coldplay song. And because I'm not really a fan of Coldplay, I can't, because I don't really know any of the songs. But here's the exciting news for you. If you are a Coldplay fan, as you speak and as you sit there, as I speak and you sit there, they're playing live in Dublin right now. Now, I know a lot of you are checking your pockets for your tickets to go, oh, I heard the wrong day. They were supposed to be the weekend. No, they're playing for free, live in Grafton Street as we speak. Coldplay, Chris Martin is there in the middle of, 20, 30,000 people surrounding him. And a couple of backing singers, the band. See, here's the thing about Ireland, right? I believe, by the way, from what I've heard, they're shooting a part of a video for their new, whatever the latest single or the new song is, right? And that's what they're doing. And they used Ireland. They decided to use Ireland. And you can use Ireland because we're like that in this country. We don't mob people. You know, like Bono could walk down our, Grafton Street tomorrow and no one's going to run over and mob him or anything. They might ask him for a selfie or something stupid like that. But no, we don't mob people generally. And you know why? I think there's an element of Irish begrudgery about it. If I go over to him and make it too obvious, then he'll realise he's famous, so I won't go over near him. Does that isn't that kind of Irishness about it? Anyway, as I said, we're going to try and get somebody. If anybody, by the way, is listening and happens to be there, we'd love to talk to you. We're trying to grab a reporter who might be on the scene at the moment. We've tried a few already, but they're all way too busy, as you can well imagine. So Coldplay currently playing in Grafton Street in Dublin as we speak, which is a very famous thing to do. You two have done it. Lots of bands have done it in the past and played on Grafton Street, particularly in around Christmas time. And I'd say it's a wonderful, friendly scene from what I can see there. Thousands and thousands of people thronging the streets of Grafton Street to listen to Coldplay, and the rest of you are all going to pay 130 or 150 quid to see them over the weekend. Now, we've lots to get through in the show tonight, by the way. I'm going to be talking to sex therapist Audrey McCormick and chatting about sexual well-being as part of the overall well-being of a relationship and your overall health as well. Also, what are the conspiracy theories that you believe are true? And I'll tell you why I'm asking that one tonight in particular. Is because, as you know, Donald Trump joined forces with RFK Jr. last week. And part of the promise of the two of them doing a deal together was that Trump said if he becomes president within the first 24 hours, that he said, I'm announcing tonight upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on the assassination attempts, and they will be tasked with releasing all the remaining documents relating to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Now, as you know, those 50,000 documents, many of them have been redacted and nobody gets to see them. And people think, what's in the redacted bits? Does it actually say it's the CIA after all? Was Lee Harvey Oswald really a patsy? Did Jack Ruby know more than he knew about? So all of that stuff, anyway, will be in there most likely, and they will be released. So that'll be kind of one conspiracy theory settled once and for all. We hope. So we're going to ask you about conspiracy theories. But the first thing I want to talk about tonight is take care of your life and live it. Have you lived your life to the fullest? Well, it's more than you might think. That a piece of philosophical whimsy comes from the one associated with football and soccer. It is, after all, called the beautiful game. However, in the past week, an icon of the modern game passed away due to pancreatic cancer. Sven-Goran Eriksson, someone that the English press loved to scapegoat and malign, of course, and his affairs away from sports certainly gave them inches of column space. Now, perhaps with the talent available at the 2002 World Cup, English supporters might have had a fair expectation to see Sven's men go a little bit further than their 2-1 quarter-final defeat to Brazil. However, not everyone lifts their head above the parapet to, in a way, welcome the cuts and grazes that are newspaper reports and headlines from thorny pen journalists as you rise up to fulfill a role outside yourself, where the stakes are so high to have to have a go to live your life, yet in grasping with both hands the poison challenge that is being England's national team manager, Sven did this and did it with grace. And so his passing was dealt with in the spirit of grace, as in a farewell from this mortal coil. He offered those parting words and he said, take care of yourself and take care of your life and live it. I had a good one, a good life. I think we are all sacred, or should I say scared, of the day when we die. But life is about death as well. Now, we didn't want to focus on the death part because that would be a bit morbid for an hour, wouldn't it? Because life is about death. From the moment you were born, you were dying. That's what they say. Because for every minute that you live, from the moment you were born, you're 1 minute closer to death. I hate to look at it that way, but that is the truth, isn't it? We're aiming, that's the target. The target is to die. We know in life, there's one thing it's sure, that we always know, death and taxes, two things. Death and taxes, that's what they say. But take care of yourself, he says, in life, and live it. So have you lived your life to the fullest? And if you had an opportunity and somebody waved a magic wand and a genie came out of the bottle and said, I'll let you live your life again. You can do everything you want. You'll have all the same opportunities. But you can choose which ones you want now. So you can look ahead in hindsight and choose those opportunities. Which ones would you not choose? Would you change anything? Are you happy with your life? Do you think that you could have taken a different direction or a different turn? Maybe a different career? Maybe a different wife or a different husband? Or people have been very honest in the past and told me that they would never have had children. And it's not that you don't love your children. Remember, if you're telling me that, by the way, I'm not going to hate you or judge you. It's not that you won't love your children because you will never know they have existed. In other words, they kind of think to themselves, maybe I would have been better off if you just didn't have kids. You know what I mean? Even though you love your kids to bits and you wouldn't change them for the world, but maybe you'd be better off if you didn't have kids, if I was single and traveled the world. Maybe I didn't get married. I shouldn't have got married. Maybe I shouldn't have took that job. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I should have took a different career path. What would you have done differently? So you have that opportunity to do your life again. And most of us listening to this radio station, because the demographic of classic hits, of course, are over the age of 30. So you should have a fair idea at this point. What would you do differently? Let me know. The number, as usual, is 087 188 0008. That's 087 188 0008. And just let me know. All you got to do is send in a WhatsApp and they will let you on the air. Send us in your thoughts on what you would do differently if you were given a second shot. Let me go first, if I can, to Patricia. Patricia, hi. How are you?
Hi.
Good. Patricia, are you happy with your life?
Well, if I had life all over again, I'd change it.
Would you?
I would.
Okay, and what in particular would you change about it?
Well, going back years ago, you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that. Seemingly you can do what you like now.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't. You see, now here's the thing. Everything is still going to be the same. The same opportunities will arise. You'll be living in the same world. So what could you not do 30 years ago, 40 years ago, whatever it was? What could you not do?
Well, I mean, if I was a man, I could do.
But you're not a man. But you won't be reborn as a man, Patricia. You're going to be a woman. You'll still be Patricia.
I know that.
Yeah, well, what? You'll be reborn as a pussycat or a dog or something. Now, I mean, as Patricia, what decisions did Patricia make that you think were the wrong ones?
I could go out and enjoy life better.
Yeah.
Compared to years ago, you couldn't go here, you couldn't go there, and you had to go to mass, and you had to do this and that and the other. And then you had to do the housework for the lads. The lads didn't do anything. The girls had to do everything.
Right, so it was kind of a very misogynistic world, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would do things differently.
Absolutely.
So what would you do? You'd tell the man, make your own bloody dinner. And by the way, I'm not going to mass. That's the end of it.
Yeah, everything has changed compared to one time. The lads did nothing, the women did everything.
But here's the thing. But I'm giving you an opportunity to go back in time and change everything. But I'm not telling you the world has changed. So in other words, the world is the same. It's just Patricia has an opportunity to do it all again. So you'll still be in a world. Yeah, but you'll still be in a world where there was stay-at-home mums. You'll still be in a world where people went to mass. So do you understand what I'm saying? So those things would be hard to change.
Yeah, but everything has changed. I mean, if I was a man, going back, I'd change my life.
But you're not a man.
I know, but if I was a woman, I'd change my life. I wouldn't stay at home. I'd go out.
Do you think men have it easier?
Well, I mean, everyone might agree with me, but a lot of men do.
Okay. And why do you think they've more opportunities?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
They don't have children.
I think men, you may be right. I think men maybe have, and still to this day, to some degree, have more opportunities. But I think women are more protected. Do you think? Would you agree with me?
Not really. I mean, men can go out and the women can stay home, and some men can go out, and I know like things have changed, but the men can go out and come home, and they don't know where they were all night.
What men are these? How many men would get away with, if they're married, going out all night and not coming back, and their wife not go bonkers?
Well, there's a lot of women today won't open their mouth either.
They won't open their mouth. But they're very silly women, Patricia.
Oh, they die, yeah.
And they're in the wrong relationship. If their husband is going out all night and they don't know where they are, and they're coming back the next morning with no excuses,
right.
They're very silly women.
Yeah. Okay. If there's going to be a disco all night or a thing all night, and if the men and women goes out all night, so they're not going to be questioned what time they come in or nothing. But I know come back, conversation quite back.
Yeah.
They're saying it's great to have kind of a thing out all night.
Yeah.
Unless it's going to jeopardise relationships or whatever. Why would it?
Right. Okay, so you're telling me you would change your outlook on life. You would change the way you are as a woman, and you would be more independent.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Anything else that you changed?
Absolutely.
Did you get married?
I was.
Okay, so you'd obviously change that.
Absolutely, because he was a control freak.
Okay, fair enough. But let's not get into who he was or what he did, right? But you would change that.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I would, yeah.
Did you have children?
No.
No, okay. And did you have a good job?
Well, I did.
Okay, so you wouldn't change. You're happy enough with that aspect of your life.
Of course, because it's great to be independent.
Yeah. Well, that'd be all parts of being independent, wouldn't it? But have a good job. Stay there for a second. Let me go to Jason. Jason, hi. How are you?
Evening, Doyle. How are you?
Okay, Patricia didn't quite get the gist of what I was saying there, but maybe she did.
She did. She went down a different rabbit hole.
Yeah. She was kind of coming back as a man, which is fair enough. You could come back as a woman, Jason, if you want to.
No, you're all right.
So, Jason, everything else would be the same around you. Just you'd be different, and you've a second chance. So all the same opportunities will come your way, but you have an opportunity not to take them now and to take a different one. What would you do different?
I wouldn't change a thing now.
Would you not?
No, because everything I've done in my past has led me to today. And the man I am today, be it good or be it bad. Everything I've done in the past has moulded me into what I am today.
And are you happy with who you are today?
Yeah.
I'm
a good provider for my family. I work hard, you know that yourself.
Yeah, I know you do.
I look after my kids. All my kids, you know that. I've been telling you that.
All 8 of them?
No. Yeah. I've always looked after them. I've always looked out for my family, my friends.
And what about your career choice? Are you happy with that?
My job. I love my job. I'm doing this 30 years now. I love my job. This is all I've ever wanted to be. From the time I was a youngster. I've always just wanted to be on the road. I've got to see the whole of Europe, England, Ireland.
Driving the truck.
Also be truck, mate. Yeah, I can't imagine me ever changing anything. As I said, if I change one thing, I'm not with Lorraine and Lulu today.
Yeah, I suppose, when you look at it, like there's a kind of domino effect to changing, what they call it the butterfly effect, to changing one thing, isn't there?
I've always believed in that. You asked Lorraine, if you were to ring Lorraine now and ask her that, she'd say, yeah, no, Jade never changed a thing, because I've always said, I changed one thing, I'm not having this conversation with you tonight. You go left when you went right. If you go back in time, and you take that left turn and instead of that right turn, your whole life is different. So it is different. So then what's to say I'd be talking to you tonight? You know, if you went down that way. No, I think everything I've done, be it for the good, be it for the bad, and I've done some pretty bad things. I've always been honest with you. You know that.
Yeah.
I think you know most of my life now. I've had me ups, I've had me downs.
Yeah.
When I've been down, I've been very down. When I was bad, I was very bad. I came through it. I'm hoping. I'm a good person now. I'm hoping. You know. So
if there was different decisions made, you might not have had the bad bits.
But then the bad bits, I would have never learned from them, would I have? And then I probably would have made them further on in my life, when my life was going so good, and I've matured, and I understand that doing stupid things when you're young does have an effect when you get older. See, when you're 16, you don't think about when you're 46. When you're 16, you're thinking you're 16, you're invincible. When you were 21, you were thinking, oh yeah, I'm a hard man, I'm this, that. You know, when you're in your 30s and you're thinking, I better slow down a bit. When you get to my age, you're looking in your past going, right, I've made it this far.
Yeah, but you told me before when you were younger you got into a bit of trouble, right?
Oh, I was a shit. I told you that I was a shithead.
So would you not prefer to have made different? Like, give me an example of being a shithead. Like, what did you do that got into trouble? Give me one example.
I was a car thief.
Okay, so if you had the opportunity again, when you smashed the window of that car or broke into that car, and you were there looking at young Jason, and you could tap him on the shoulder and tell him something, would you tell him, don't take that bloody car, you dick?
Okay, if I was hovering over my son and he was making them decisions, yes. You're damn
why
right.
why not
But as I
yourself?
said,
Why not yourself?
Because that's made me the person I am today. If I do go back and do that, yeah, obviously I wouldn't have brought that hurt to my mum and dad. Damn right. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd like to take that away from them. I'd like to take the memories away from them. But what I done as what's moulded me into today. I'm a strong believer in that. Everything has, everything's a part of the path of life. That's always been me, Niall. You know. I mean, if we could all go back, obviously I'd like to be born into a different family where we were all millionaires. But look at how unhappy millionaires are.
Oh, I know that.
I come from a very happy family. We're all very close. There's 8 of us and my mum and dad. That's siblings and my mum and dad. And we're still all very close to this day. We all get together twice a year, the whole lot of us. You know, I wouldn't like, and even though I was the bastard, they never they excluded me from the family. Look at millionaires, they have all the money in the world. Some of the most miserable shites I've ever come across.
I know. Money doesn't always buy happiness, but it can help. It can, mind you, it can help every now and again.
Ask that billionaire who's both flipped over the other night.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, that was terrible, wasn't it?
It's amazing how his buddy was killed 2 days earlier as well.
The guy who taking the lawsuit against him. Yeah, so the two of them.
The two of them.
Yeah.
Were they not taking a lawsuit against the American government or something? Were they not against the American government?
One of them took a lawsuit against the other, and it only finished up there a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago.
I thought it was to do with the American government and the fraud.
No. I don't think so. But it was just bizarre coincidence that the two of them were killed by an act of nature, essentially.
Yeah.
In two separate parts of the world, at around the same time. You know what I mean?
And that's only few in the conspiracy theorists that say that governments have control of the weather.
There's no way. There's no conspiracy theory around the boat. The boat just went down and that was it.
Come here, there's a conspiracy theory for everything, Noel. You know that.
There always is. So, Jason, your life is, I mean, would you, for example, if you could go back a little bit in time, made more of an effort to, say, be the owner of the truck company? Or... You know,
well, I was self-employed. I had my own view on the road. The last recession in 2012, and then I was going through a mad divorce. It just sort of kicked me. You know, obviously things like that. But as I said, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I'm happier today than I was 20 years ago now.
Are you earning as much money today as you were 20 years ago, or were you earning more 20 years?
No, but I don't have the same nooses around my neck.
Right, okay.
I can actually live a life now. I'm not afraid of getting sick. You know, if my back goes out, I'm not afraid to take a week off work now.
Yeah.
You know, that way. I don't have that where I'm a 48-year-old man that, I mean, I should be in a wheelchair. I told you, my back is completely destroyed, but I keep going because I have me. I mean, I work for my kids. If I hadn't got them, I'd be rich. Damn right I would. I wouldn't be working though. Why would I need to work? I work for my kids. I work for my family. I work so Lorraine can rear my children.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't change the thing. I wouldn't have Lorraine and Lulu and the kids, you know, that way. So
yeah. By the way, just to correct you, you were actually right. You were saying his co-defendant was hit by a car on Saturday in Cambridgeshire. They were both actually on the same side. Yeah, they're both on the same side.
Hey, I can see a movie coming out in this and all that. A Bourne ultimatum, Jason Bourne.
Yeah. I can see a movie coming out about it, all right. And I'm sure there is conspiracy theories about it. Stay there. Maybe we could talk about that later too. Jason, stay there for a second because Bernie, hi, how are you?
I'm grand, Niall. How are you?
Good. Jason wouldn't change a thing because all the bad stuff that happened made him the man that he is today, and a good man and a good provider.
I think he spoke excellent sense. I was listening to him there. Yes, he was right, and I'm the same. I'm 65, and if I hadn't done the life journey that I've done up to now, I wouldn't be the person I have become now.
But there are. I mean, let's leave aside the obvious, which is that if you change one thing, it changes everything else, right? And that right. Jason was right in when he said that. It's called the butterfly effect, of course. Every decision you make has it changes your path or your destiny.
Every action has a reaction or something.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so I think it originally comes from the fact that they say it came from the fact that if a butterfly flaps its wings on the other side of the world, we'd feel the ripple over here. Okay, so that's where it comes from technically. But here's the thing, Bernie. If you could change things without it affecting everything else, you know, would you have changed it? You say your relationship, you know, the amount of children you had, I don't know, when you got married, any of those kind of things, the job you took in life, would you prefer, are you happy with the job you took in life? All of those things.
Honestly, Niall, to be who I am now, I had to go through all those stages to become the person I am. I had to have all those insecurities. I had to have all those. I wasn't feeling I was good enough for anything. I had to learn how to stand on my own 2 feet. Now, in the last 5 years, I lost my husband, my mother, and my father, who, as you know, thank you. But you know what I mean? They were my supports. When I was having a shit day, I could ring my mum, I could ring my husband, I could ring my father, and they'd all go, oh, you know, they'd be there, and you'd have that instant support. That's gone now. I don't have anyone. So I look inside myself and I say, oh yes, I have to find it. I don't have the luxury of, like anyone else. I didn't lose my parents when I was 10 years of age. How do those kids go through life? They don't have, I was so lucky and I feel so blessed. And the people I met and the people I looked after, I have a privilege in my life to be able to do that and to be able to go out and provide for my children, even when I thought I couldn't make it, even when I hadn't got 20 cents in my bank account. I went home in the morning in the knowledge that I could do it, and that that strength never left me, and I'm grateful for that. And the people I met along the way, it's one of the most horrific things I've seen people go through, and I'm lucky. I could go at home in the morning and hug my kids. Some parents never got this opportunity to hug their child again because that child was in the accident I went to see that night. You know?
Yeah. So, no, I get you. But there are things like I remember my dad would ring me after my mum died. He was feeling all sorry for himself. And he would ring me, you know, and he'd ring me when I was on my way into work, and the radio station would have been Classic Hits at the time as well, going back about 10 years ago. And I'd be on my way in and he'd ring me and say, you wouldn't drop us down a loaf of bread and a bag of chips, would you? And I'm going... And in his head, he thought that would take Niall 5 minutes out of his way. But it actually took me 45 minutes out of my way by the time I got the chips, got the bread. And I'd say, Dad, I'm on my way into work. I don't have the time. I'll do it for you. I'll drop it into you on the way home or something like that. Oh, for God's sake. And there's part of me now thinking back, Jesus, you know what was more important? You know what I mean? Maybe I should have just dropped him in the bag of chips in the slice pan. Do you know what I mean?
But you're thinking of that now. Sorry for cutting across you. You're thinking of that now because is it all about work? Is it really all about work? Is there anybody in the graveyard today thinking to themselves up there looking down, I should have worked harder?
No, I don't.
Life is too short now, Noel. And when's enough? How much do you really want to change? Do you want to go all the way back and change your parents then? I mean, you know, look at these people that get plastic surgery. They're always chasing the youth, trying to push it back. So how far back do we go?
No, it's true.
So I'm quite surprised now. So I have two people here who are happy with their... Well, don't get me wrong. Everybody isn't happy with all of their life because things go wrong every now and again. But essentially happy with the life and the path they chose in life.
When I tell you my husband's last text the day before he died to his kids.
Yeah.
I look back, so he must have had some lucid minute, that thing. He says, I'm thinking back on my life and what I could have done differently. And until somebody pointed out to me, if I hadn't left the army, I wouldn't have met that wonderful woman and I wouldn't have had the four amazing kids I've had in my life. So no, I am not sorry for the path I took in my life. I am very happy. And he died the next evening.
Oh.
And that man was
heartbreaking.
That man would not have shown any, you know, he would never have ever discussed that with anyone, but that's how he felt the day before he died. So if he felt like that at 62 years of age, and he had a fairly hard upbringing for himself. He was very hard on himself. He didn't see the beauty. He didn't see the good that was in himself. And he would have been
different times back then. They were different times back then when he was growing up. You know, they really were. I mean, times were different. We have it so easy. Well, the youth of today haven't a clue what our parents and our grandparents went through to get us to where we are today.
Stay there, both of you, a second. Hang on. Stay there, Bernie and Jason. Let me go to Helen. Helen, hi. How are you?
Hi, Niall.
Oh, this is Helen with the dodgy phone. Helen, yeah, sorry. Yeah, she needs a new phone. Helen, apart from getting a new phone, what would you do differently? She sounds like she's at the bottom of a well when she rings in. Helen, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah, but your phone is just really bad. But go on, make it quick and tell us what you do differently.
Well, I'll tell you something. I do the whole lot completely different. Upside down I do it because, like, I did it upside down. And when I met the man I married, I got pregnant, and then I got engaged. Then I had the baby. Then I got married. I put the horse before the cart all along my life, you know. And now, having said that, I had a choice of my first love and the man I ended up marrying. I made the wrong choice because I'm now separated.
Okay, so you unfortunately your phone is really bad, Helen. It's very difficult to hear what you're saying. So you kind of you got engaged, you got pregnant, then you got married. You kind of did it all the wrong way around. If you had a choice now, you would change the way you did things. You'd do them the right way around. Would you still marry the same man?
Sorry? I wouldn't marry the same man.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't marry him.
Okay,
well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and get Connor to give you a ring back and see can we get you on a better line, because unfortunately, but I do remember from the last couple of times your phone is the same all the time. Niamh, hi.
Hi, Niamh. How are you?
How are you doing? Sorry, Niamh. Sorry about that.
Good.
And poor old Helen. I would love to. She sounds like she's in good spirit, and I'd love to hear what she had to say, but it's impossible.
Yeah.
Niamh, what would you do different apart from buy beans with no added sugar?
I wouldn't change anything. I'm with Bernie. Sorry, John, is it?
Jason.
Jason, sorry. I'm with Bernie and Jason. I'm happy with my life. I've, been through some crap along the way. But even the worst times brought something good.
I find it hard to believe. Sorry for interrupting. I find this so hard to believe tonight that everybody is not happy with their life, but they wouldn't change anything. And I don't want to mean bad, but I'm sure we've all had bad things happen to us. Niamh, Jason, Bernie. We've all, and Niamh, I've talked to you before about bad things that have happened in your life. And, if you could go back to little Niamh at 16 and give her a bit of advice and say to her, listen, don't go to that place on this particular night. Don't go to that. Don't take that job. Listen, don't give up school. Go to college. Like, surely you would want to give little Niamh that advice.
I would. No, there's a lot of things I'd like to tell myself. But I still wouldn't want my life to be different. I wish that, I'd like to be able to tell myself that if I could go back and not have the butterfly effect, not change anything, then I'd love to give myself some advice. But I don't want to go back and give myself that advice and then have a completely different life, because the life I have now with my kids and my partner, I'm just so happy with them. I couldn't, I know I wouldn't know because they wouldn't have existed. So how do you miss something you don't know?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to, I just really, really like my life. We struggle. We're not rich. We have money problems like everybody else. But even the worst things that happened to me brought something good. It's like there was some really negative things.
I know.
But even that, the thing you're talking about, that was incredibly negative, obviously.
Yeah.
But I wasn't just
alluding to that, Niamh. But yes, I understand what you're talking about. Yeah.
But that brought me to meet people that, I met somebody that convinced me to start martial arts, and I became a black belt, and I loved it. And that was, those people became like my support system that I needed like they were sent to me. Because I needed them at that time when I was so young and so lost. I needed them so desperately, and they just appeared.
Yeah.
It was like life saying, okay, that was shit, but here's something good to make up for it a little bit. And
was that by far that was the worst thing that happened in your life? Obviously, for people who don't know, you've talked about being raped before on the air, so it's not a secret, okay?
No, it's not.
Which is horrendous. But was that the worst thing that happened to you in your life? Yeah.
So far, yes. I mean, I'm very lucky. I haven't lost parents. I'm blessed to still have them in my life. I haven't suffered loss like so many. Like, I'm so sorry, Bernie, for the losses you've experienced. That's so hard, so hard.
Thank you.
And I know how lucky I am that I've sort of gone through my life so far. And I know it's going to hit me like a ton of bricks because they're both very elderly, so it's going to happen soon. But I haven't experienced it yet. I've experienced the grandparents thing when I was young, like we all do. But I have been, bar certain things going wrong, I've been lucky, and my life has.
What have you learned? What have you learned? Yeah, if you could give some lessons to people, and Karen is always talking to me about her golden rules. She has lots of golden rules. Like, one of her golden rules is there's no friends in business. That's a golden rule. Value yourself is another one of Karen's golden rules. You know, never let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Have you heard all of these? Karen has this list of golden rules. She even says to her stepdaughter, "What's the golden rule?" And her stepdaughter is so used to her now. She goes, "Which rule are you talking about now?" But the golden. But she is.
One of mine.
She is right.
One of mine.
Go ahead.
One of mine that I learned is that I think somebody was saying it earlier about, you know, sometimes we're not so happy with ourselves, and especially as women. Bernie will get this. Especially as women, we think, "Oh God, another lump in a bump, or a new stray hair has just formed on my face," or something like that. But what I've learned is, don't always be the person behind the camera. Be the person in the photograph as well, because when you're gone, your children are going to want photographs of you. They don't care how you looked. They don't care that maybe you were packing a few extra pounds that day, or that your hair wasn't perfect. They just want to see you.
Yeah.
And I realised about 3 years ago, I have 0 to maybe 2 to 3 photographs with me in them, because I really was self-conscious. I didn't like myself very much. So I've learned now, just get into the photograph. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
just make memories.
I was the same. There's very few photographs of me between the age of about 16 and kind of 40, 50-ish, because I wouldn't even walk in front of a mirror. Because I had the alopecia, I lost all confidence in myself. That's why radio suited me perfectly. But Bernie, in relation to you, is there any, and I'll come back to Jason on this as well, if you were to give a bit of advice to people, because I have to take a break in a second, but if you were to give advice, what have you learnt in life so far?
Not to take yourself too seriously would be mine. You are be the person you are inside. You are that person. You know, like, I mean, I didn't realise that until I was apologising because of, you know, things that went through in my life. And I'm okay. People actually, like you actually got to know me and you got to understand me. Whereas, you know, I didn't make sense to myself. But when I realised that I can make sense, because I used to always think I had no confidence. I, you know, lacked confidence. I, you know, had a lot of things that I didn't understand about life. I was very innocent to a lot of things, and through people I learned it.
Well, I tell you what, when you come on this show on a regular basis, you sound very knowledgeable and about life in general. So,
but that's because I've learned that I'm on the journey.
Yeah.
Because I was so innocent to life. I didn't have a clue. I was just thought everything that happened, I didn't understand it. Now I understand a bit better, and I understand we all experience things, even though we don't realise we're experiencing them at the time. We do have experience and life experiences, and we can talk.
Okay, just before we go to the break, Jason, what have you learned?
Well, life is tough now. You never know what's around the next corner.
No, you never do. And one of the other things I've learned is, by the way, in relation to friends are not always who you think they are. And
I was going to come to that next.
Yeah, I know. When I went through a bad point in my life, the people I thought were friends really weren't. Yeah. They never rang me once. They never saw, you know, they didn't care less where I was sleeping. There were very few people that actually cared. The people I didn't expect to care were the people who actually cared.
No. And this one goes out mainly to men. I'm sorry, women, but this goes out. Talk. When you're feeling down, talk. Your friends would rather listen to you for 5 minutes than carry your coffin. The biggest killer of men in this country, the biggest killer of men in this country, especially young men, is suicide, because they think they're worthless. They're being made out now to feel worthless. No matter what they do, it's wrong. If they're strong men, they're masculine, they're toxic. If they're weak men, they're, you know the names they're called. You know that way. So just the men. You're more valuable alive than you are in the ground.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more. Neve, stay with me. Thank you very much indeed, Jason and Bernie. Neve will continue to talk about Coronation Street after the break. Now, I'm joking. We will talk about something. But keep texting, keep WhatsApping. There you go. There's 3 people. The exception of, obviously, we didn't get to hear what Helen said because her phone is so bad. But Helen would change things, just the order she did things in. But 3 people who have average lives, it would be fair to say. You know, like everybody, they struggle. You know, they're skint to the end of the month. But they're happy with their lives. They wouldn't change anything. And the reason we're talking about it is in relation to Sven Goran Eriksson. His last words were, take care of your life and live it. Have you lived your life to the fullest? So I'm asking, have you lived your life to the fullest? But if I gave you an opportunity as a wish to go back and do your life again, what would you do differently? The number's 087 188 0008. That's 087 188 0008. Neil, I'm looking here at some of the text coming in, and it's actually surprising the amount of people who said they're happy with their life. That really blows me away, because I expected, when I spoke to Conor about this topic earlier on today, I expected a lot of people to want to change everything or lots of things.
I think people are a bit afraid because they don't want to change what they have. I mean, I think if you change the question to, you can keep your family and nothing will change there. But you said to me, if you could go back and give yourself some advice, what would it be? I think that might be better, because people would be more inclined to do that. Nobody wants to lose their kids or their husband or wife if they get on and they love them. But
and what was it? What did you say you'd say to little Niamh when she was 16? What would you say to her? If you could, here's a challenge on the spot for you, right? So little Niamh, there you are, and you're looking at little Niamh, and there she is after coming home from school, and she's sitting in her bedroom. And she's not scared of you, obviously, for whatever reason. But you can give her 3 bits of advice, small bits of advice.
Open those books. It's only going to be 2 years out of your life, but it's going to stand to you if you get a better leaving cert.
Okay.
Don't look for validation in other people. They don't actually care about you as much as you think they do. That would be the biggest piece of advice, because that's what I used to do. That's a great
piece of advice, by the way.
I used to look for approval in other people because I didn't like myself very much. I didn't have an awful lot of confidence.
So many kids do that nowadays with social media.
Yeah. And it didn't stop when I was a kid, unfortunately. I carried that right into my 20s. Yeah. And it was like, I'd be going out and I'd be looking for validation in all the wrong places. Some charmer come up and tell you how wonderful you are, and that's it. That was enough for me. You
were all his.
Such a cheap date. Jeez, it wasn't even a pint. It was just a couple of compliments. So that I would say, you don't. You're enough. You are enough by yourself. You don't need to get all your validation from somebody else. And the third bit would be learn to drive sooner than you're planning on it.
Okay. When did you learn to drive, by the way?
I'm still trying to wait to learn.
Very
so
good.
Do it before you're 50, love.
By the way, here's another thing, and I hate to sound real morbid, right? But I was talking to somebody the other day, and her husband died of a heart attack, and he was only in his late 50s, a young man, and by the way, quite a healthy man. Unfortunately, it was just one of those things. That had a heart attack and died, right? But she regrets that she had a row with him the night before. And
she wasn't to know.
Of course not. That's you. But you could tell that to her as much as you wanted. She's never going to believe that, and she'll remember that forever. So what I'll say to people is, never go to bed on an argument, ever, with your partner. And always
stay up all night and keep fighting.
Yeah, and always tell them you love them before you go to sleep, and then you'll never have a regret. Anyway, let me go to Niall. Niall, hi. How are you?
Hello. How's it going?
Good. Niall, what regrets do you have, or what would you change?
I wouldn't change anything in my life. I suppose I lived for a long time in addiction, and
okay.
Some people got hurt along the way. That's something I would change, but I wouldn't change the fact that I was that I was in addiction, because I ended up going into rehab. I was in rehab like 6 times, I think 6 or 7 times, and then it never worked for me, I did, would have done hundreds of hours of therapy and 12-step meetings and all that kind of stuff, and that didn't never work for me.
And when you say addiction, alcohol or drugs? Alcohol.
I was a heroin addict. I was and alcohol as well, and I was a gambler. I hit the jackpot, as you say, with addictions, and I was homeless, and I was it's several times I was rushed to hospital in an ambulance, and so I would have almost died a couple of times, I went to Tiglin, it's a Christian rehab.
I know of the place. Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, Tiglin. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a very powerful experience there, that completely changed my life. My whole life changed. So because of that, I would never change. I wouldn't change my past, because through my past I found a relationship with God that changed my whole life,
Okay.
And then changed my daughter's life as well after that.
Okay.
And you were talking about dying and stuff. Because of my faith, I don't have any fear of death. you know.
Yeah.
Whereas before I would have been terrified of dying.
Right, okay. And how long are you clean now?
About 8 years now.
Okay. And how long are you addicted for? It says on my screen 14 years. Was it 14 years, yeah?
14 years I was addicted, yeah. The first maybe 9 or 10 of those years, I was addicted to kind of like synthetic drugs like ecstasy and stuff like that. But then eventually I ended up on heroin, smoking, and then injecting eventually, you know?
Yeah. And you believe that it's kind of made you the man you are today to some degree, and you obviously found God. You're born again Christian, I assume, and you found God.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: would you have found God without all of that? Do you think?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I know people. I know people who have. I know people who have found God without that type of life. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have. I could never answer a question like that.
Yeah. And if you could change it, knowing what you know now to some degree, I suppose. Like if you could go back, as I said to Niamh, if you go back to 16-year-old Niall, or whatever age you were when things started to go downhill and spiral out of control.
Yeah.
Would you give advice, or would you carry on and just continue the life you had because of what you know now? No. If I could go back to like 15, 16 years of age, I'd probably follow some of the dreams that I kind of. Like, if I give an example, I was a very talented soccer player, you know. I would have maybe tried to follow that dream, or I would have like finished school, you know. But it was very hard for me to do things like that because a lot of bad things happened to me as a child, which led me down this road into addiction, you know. Yeah.
Now I know some people have bad things happen to them and they don't end up in addiction. But,
different people, different folks have different reactions, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it was just kind of, I kind of like self-hatred, like, you know, I kind of turned it in on myself and hurt myself really a lot with drugs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did a lot of damage to myself because I didn't care about myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I could go back, I would do things like finish school and go to college earlier maybe, or pursue, as I said, other dreams that I had, you know.
Because the sad part about addiction, of course, is it doesn't just affect you; it affects all the people around you. You know, family and friends and everybody else that you're associated with.
Yeah, that's what I think that was the first thing I said. That the things I do regret the most is that people got hurt, like, you know what I mean, along the way. A lot of people got hurt, to be honest. Thankfully, I've been able to make amends to those people. But yeah, that's something that I. Are you happy with
your life now?
I'm very happy with my life. Like, I left school when I was 15, and I went back to college after taking in. I have a degree. I work as a social care worker. I got married last year I married a Brazilian lady, and I'm very, very happy. Like, very happy.
Well done for turning your life around, by the way. Well done, and you deserve a well done, by the way. I know people don't like credit sometimes, but you know sometimes
I'll take it.
Yeah, no. Well, look, when things are rock bottom, it's sometimes hard to climb out, isn't it? You know what I mean? Some people manage it and some people don't, and you deserve that applause for doing that and turning your life around. You know, because so many people in your situation don't manage to do that and sadly end up ODing or sadly end up, you know, in institutions or residential care or whatever it happens to be. So well done to you for turning your life around and making life better for yourself. Because look, we only get one shot. That's it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Very true. Very true.
Whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, you're still going to die. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? We're all going.
Yeah, I know. But I suppose if you a born-again Christian is somebody who doesn't have any fear of death, because a born-again Christian knows that they're saved. But maybe that's another subject altogether, you know?
Yeah. No, but I get that. Even though I wouldn't consider myself a Christian, but I'm an atheist. But that's irrelevant. I respect your belief in God, and I respect people's belief in God, you know?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, fair enough.
All right, no, thank you for that. Well done, by the way, and continue. And I hope your life keeps going up and up and up, and continues on the successful path. Let me go to James. James, hi, how are you?
How's it going now? How are you?
James, you're a man who's doing okay. You only got a promotion there recently in your job. You have 4 beautiful children, from what I remember. A lovely wife. Things are going okay. You don't have regrets, do you? Or do you?
Well, it depends. Like, you're talking about like friendships and family. I would have some regrets, and then maybe with career choice, you know, didn't really choose a career. I kind of just
fell into
opportunities came. Yeah, more than anything, really. You know.
Yeah.
I suppose on the friends front, I would have had a good childhood friend of mine. We had a massive fall now, and a week later he killed himself.
Oh gosh.
That would be a massive regret.
Yeah.
Then I suppose my grandmother as well. Like, got a call that she was only had a few hours left to live, and I was working, and I thought I had time. I didn't leave the job, and then I was on the way to see her, and she passed away before I got there. And she like really sacrificed a lot for me, you know. Like she took me in when I was 14, and we survived off her pension, etc. So the kind of So on that,
but here's the thing, and I said the same thing in relation to my own brother when he drowned. You know, I should have contacted him. We didn't have mobile phones in those days. He was out at a party and he died he drowned at the Seven Lock Canal in Inchicore when he was 24. But I was working in Coco's that night in the nightclub DJing, so I could have easily picked him up because I would have been passing by the bridge at exactly that time, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I could have, if I had been able to arrange with him before he went out that night, that I could have arranged to pick him up or whatever, but I didn't. And I always used to blame myself for that. So you can always, the same with your mate that you fell out with or your granny, you make those decisions at that moment in time, don't you? Thinking they're the right decisions.
I know, yes, and that's it. Like, you know, you done the decisions at the time that it felt were right, but, you know, I suppose after the fact I found out that, like, she was quite cognitive even on her deathbed, you know, like, she was quite alert and she was asking where was I and stuff, so that, you know, that kind of cuts to the bone to a degree, you know.
No, absolutely.
And then I suppose to a career choice, I went to Utley, so I was similar to the previous guy. I left school when I was 15, so, kicked out, but anyway. And I went to a outreach program in the community, but there was a guy there, he was a French guy, and he was going over to join the French Foreign Legion, and he was begging me to go. And I allowed fear to dictate the choice rather than just diving head first, you know, I didn't have the courage.
Yeah.
So allowing fear to dictate your decisions, I suppose, is possibly one of the greatest lessons I've learned so far.
So really, with the exception of your wife and your kids and your more recent happiness, you would change your career. You would change quite a lot, actually, to some degree.
Absolutely not. Absolutely, but that's the struggle of life now. You can only walk so many paths. You know, only so many roads can be travelled.
Yeah.
You know, some can't be travelled, and I think you're always going to, at some stage, look at the what ifs.
Yeah.
You know, the what ifs, and I think that's kind of natural to, you know, human beings.
Yeah.
You know, you have a limited time, and you really just have to make the decisions on the fly. You know, but I think
we should get 2 shots. They should give us 2 shots at it, really, shouldn't they? Let us do a trial run, so to speak.
Let us do a trial run, and then can we redo it over when we have the experience and the knowledge? But
and give us the same opportunities again, but you know what I mean, just in case.
Yeah, just in case, can have a backup plan. Just let me know if everything will be okay. You know, and that's the problem, Noel, risk versus security, isn't it, in life?
Yeah.
Like, you can always go the secure path. You can go to the 9 to 5, or I suppose that's probably a bit of an old mentality, 9 to 5, but you can go to the secure job for somebody, or take the risk. You can do what I wanted to do, go to the French Foreign Legion, and, you know, like...
But that's most people, most human beings, that's their biggest fear is change, right? And when you ask people what one of their biggest fears is change, right? So in other words, you're in a secure job that pays you, so, I don't know, 50 grand a year, 60 grand a year, whatever, right? And somebody says, look, I have an opportunity here, new job, okay? If this works out, you could earn 100 grand a year. But if it doesn't work out, we're all doomed. Do you take the chance? You know what I mean? And most people don't take the chance. Some people are born to take those chances. And some of those people do well, and some of them end up in the gutter. So what I'm saying is, there's always, but it's fear of change for people.
Yeah, exactly. It's the fear of the unknown, Noel. It's like when I got offered a promotion and work a few years back, and I put the question to you. It would have been when I was more frequent on the show.
Yeah.
So, and you gave me the courage to take the opportunity.
I told you to take it.
Yeah,
I said take it.
You know,
yeah.
And I suppose that's one thing, isn't it? You spend 90%. You spend so much of your time worrying about things, and 90% of it never actually happens. And that's the horrible thing. You know, you spend so much time focusing on the possibilities of what if this goes wrong.
That's, by the way, that's when it came to me running for election that time. You know, I did have obviously reservations. I'm leaving a career. Thankfully, by the way, they gave me my job back. But I'm leaving a career, you know, behind what happens if it doesn't work. You know, and then the one thing that kind of led me to want to do with them, well, apart from obviously my wife Karen, who's a huge support to me and would support me to anything, right? But the one thing that really made me want to do it is, if I didn't do it, I would have regretted it for the rest of my life. That I had the opportunity and I didn't do it. I didn't try.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't take the opportunity that was laid at your feet. And as well, I got an opportunity, you know what I'm talking about, but anyway, I got an opportunity, an astounding opportunity that I never thought I'd actually get, and I allowed fear to dictate the decision, you know. And I still live with regret over that decision, but
yeah,
you have to live with your choices, don't you?
I've had a few of those in my days, James. I've had a few different job opportunities and things, and I've said no maybe because I'm happy with what I have or I'm more secure in what I have. And I often wonder, if I had took them, what would I be doing now? You know, would it be different? You know, there you go.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
So, well, no, that's okay. I just have to go to Mihal before the break. Sorry, James. Mihal, hi, how are you?
You got some sin. I get couldn't Latin sin.
Oh, good as I thought to, August. Will to, whatever, I don't know. That's one of my regrets in life. I didn't learn the Irish language. Sorry, Mihal. Now, I only have about 2 minutes here, Mihal. I do apologise. 82 years of age. I've been talking to you probably since you were 70. And
well, I've been with for so many years that I hate to count.
Yeah. So, what would you do differently in your life?
I'd probably have a more regard for the marriage life than I had. I had enough regard for it, but your life dictated by money. We grew up with plenty. Plenty is what we had at the time, rabbits and fish. But the point is, when you get money, you don't appreciate it. One thing I'm happy for is I helped thousands of people. I helped that many people. I spent my life helping people that didn't have anything and helping them in so many ways, families, bits and pieces. I spent a fortune. I don't care about it. I loved it. I'm happy with that part of life. But on the other side of it, I think I could have paid more attention to my own married life and had it better with separated, oh God, 44 or 5 years. Divorced, I don't know how long. But the point is, I could have paid more attention maybe to the marriage life in the earlier years. And since that, like, well, I've travelled, as I told you before, I met Ceausescu in Romania, that I'm Hussein 3 times. I met him from the top to the bottom. And like, I travelled. I put my head into travel, and believe you me, I travelled.
And do you think when you were in love, when you were married for the first time, you didn't prioritise your wife enough? Is that what you're saying to me?
That was it, because you've gone back in so far, it's the way it was at the time. And there's no point in saying blame this or blame that. Yes, I could have done different. But life, the way life was and what you did, everybody was out mad to get money, get this and get that. I remember when we first house, and the lad said, how will you pay for it? You want a mortgage? And I said, will you take or cash? What do you want? And that was my answer to him. He started looking at it. But the point was that you walked your butt off. There was great opportunities in my time. Things were stirring. The opportunities were brilliant. I'm sure you saw them yourself, and you're a lot younger than me. But the opportunities were brilliant. And all you had to do was grab them. And every one of those opportunities spent money. Every single one of them, all you had to do was keep your head and look at what you were doing. The opportunities were unbelievable. And the money was unbelievable.
And you took all those opportunities, but the one opportunity you didn't take was to prioritise your marriage and prioritise your wife.
I should have prioritised my marriage more than I did. Now, there was 2 was in it, and I can't say anything about it because, unfortunately, she's Alzheimer's. But the point is that she's a gorgeous-looking bird. But I didn't prioritise it in the way I should have done. But then I say it's the way I grew up, and I can't blame that for it. Everybody, we all have our own...
Oh, different world. I'm not making excuses for you, but you are right, it was a different world. I've run out of time, so unfortunately, Michal, I do apologise, and James, thank you very much indeed. After the break, by the way, I will be asking you about hotels. It looks like Manchester Hotel has apologised for a mix-up over, reselling hotel rooms for the Oasis gig in Manchester at 3 times the price, the Malvern hotels. They said it was a mistake. I don't believe that, to be honest with you. Anyway, but here's the other thing. When Taylor Swift or whoever it is in town, AC/DC last weekend, Coldplay this weekend, hotel rooms quadruple in price. Because they know you'll pay it. But here's the thing. People say, like, price gouging. Are they being greedy, or are they just good business opportunities for hotels? Because after all, there are times of the year where they sell their rooms for very little because they can sell them because it's not a busy time. So is that just money making because that's business, or is that money making because it's greed? Let me know what you think. And after the break, by the way, speaking of fulfilling lives, lots of people have had good fulfilling lives. I'll read you out some famous people's last words. and I'm sure some of them will resonate with you. My favourite one, actually, on the headstone for Spike Milligan was, I told them I was sick. The number is 087 188 0008. Is price gouging greed, or is it just good business? Airlines do it as well. When the kids are on holidays, of course, they charge you more. When the kids are back in school, they charge you less. Because they know that's when you want to go away, isn't it? When it's expensive. Let me know, is price gouging, as they call it, is it good business, or is it just greed?
Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime Talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.